Well, overnight we have one further case of COVID-19 in Queensland. It's a woman who has travelled through Africa recently and is therefore confirmed to be an overseas acquired case, not local transmission. That leaves us with 5 active cases here in Queensland. 2 of those are in hospital, one on the Gold Coast and one in Metro North. One of them is in intensive care. We have now done more than 200,000 tests in Queensland on more than 190,000 people. So we have tested 190,242 Queenslanders. You'll be aware that overnight the coroner confirmed that they had multiple negative tests of COVID-19 post-mortem on that man who died in Blackwater tragically. Our ability to control this virus requires us to respond rapidly to every single positive test. We have to treat every positive test as though it is a positive case. However, I would like to personally apologise to his partner and his family for any distress that our actions in responding rapidly have caused them. The loss of any life, particularly a life so young, is incredibly sad. I know it's been incredibly distressing for them. And to have to grieve under these circumstances, under this level of scrutiny, in some cases in quarantine, has only compounded that tragedy and their grief. And to them, I am so deeply sorry.
Deputy Premier. So one new confirmed case in Queensland overnight, a 41-year-old lady who travelled back from Africa and was tested here at the Gold Coast whilst in quarantine and was confirmed positive. She was infectious while she was on the plane, but of course all of those other people on that plane are also in quarantine. So we will go and do some contact tracing of that plane just to check that everyone else is in quarantine and whether or not they've got any symptoms. So that takes us to 5 active cases here in Queensland today. Then you would also have seen that the coroner officially notified me last night that the gentleman who died in Blackwater, despite having multiple additional tests, there was no evidence of COVID-19 virus found. At this stage, the coroner is not sure of what the cause of death was. He's doing further tests to work that out. But he is sure that there was no virus through their testing. Now, we received a positive test that was confirmed that night after he died. It was a post-mortem test, and it was done because his partner said that he had had 4 weeks of flu-like symptoms. So based on that, although we knew there were no active cases that we were aware of in Blackwater, a decision was made to rapidly respond. I did ask for a second test to be done that night, which was also done post-mortem, which makes it difficult to do the test, and it was sent to Rockhampton to be tested urgently that night. It came back as invalid because the test was contaminated with blood, so therefore the result was invalid. So I had one positive test in a gentleman with a 4-week history of a flu-like illness. Subsequent to that initial test, further tests were done to try and work out what the cause of that flu-like illness was, and no other tests have come up positive for any other pathogen. So I required people in Blackwater who had any symptoms of respiratory disease or any fever or history of fever to come forward and be tested, and 605 did come forward and get tested. All have been negative. So that was a tremendous response from the people in Blackwater, and I thank them for that response. There were also a number of close contacts who were required to go into quarantine. They are being told today that they can end that quarantine early, and I thank all of those people who went into quarantine. And I actually thank all 63,000 Queenslanders who to date have gone into quarantine. As we saw last night, quarantine is one of the most effective ways of limiting the spread of this virus, and it's something that we don't take lightly, but we will always ask for when there is a risk that someone has come into contact with a case. Thank you.